Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Me, Farah Munisha binti Abdul Razak with number matrix 292714. Today, we are in the debate. It's about should Malaysia play a more active role in addressing the Rohingya refugee crisis in Myanmar. As the introduction, here, the Rohingya refugee crisis is a pressing humanitarian issue that emerged from the persecution and displacement of the Rohingya Muslim minority in Myanmar. The Rohingya, an ethnic group primarily residing in Myanmar's Rakhine State, have faced long-standing discrimination, violence, and denial of citizenship rights. The crisis escalated in 2017 when the Myanmar military launched a brutal crackdown, leading to mass killings, rape, and the torching of Rohingya villages. As a result, hundreds of thousands of Rohingya fled their home seeking safety and refuge in neighboring countries, primarily Bangladesh. This crisis has garnered international attention and calls for urgent action to address the dire conditions faced by the Rohingya refugees and find a sustainable solution to their plight.
Okay. My name is Nashakina Waidan Dizaini. Okay, my number matter is 292538. Okay. For this issue, in my opinion, we cannot turn a blind eye to the plight of the Rohingya refugee any longer. As a neighbor, Malaysia also has economic influence, which can be employed to incentivize Myanmar to take concrete action to address the Rohingya crisis. Malaysia is a major trading partner of Myanmar and has a large percent in the country to the investment and tourism. By utilizing economic influence, Malaysia can send a strong message to Myanmar about the seriousness of the Rohingya and the importance of protecting human rights. Economic incentive can be employed to encourage Myanmar to prioritize finding a solution and taking tangible steps towards resolving the crisis. Okay. Therefore, Malaysia can use the economic clouds with Myanmar to influence the country policies and take actions in this issue. In addition to economic influence, Malaysia could also use the political influence to pressure Myanmar for comply with international standards and take steps to create a safe and welcoming environment for Rohingya people. Okay, Malaysia is a key player in the Association of Southern ASEAN Nations. Okay, and has the power to pursue other countries in the region to take coordinated action to support the Rohingya people. Okay, like in 2018, Malaysia threatened to impose sanction on investment activity in Myanmar if the Rohingya crisis is not addressed. Malaysia has exceptional position to use economic influence to pressure Myanmar. So this treatment of Rohingya as the country provides a significant amount of trade and investment to Myanmar, which is Myanmar relies on for this economic growth. This approach would involve making future investment contingent on Myanmar's commitment to human rights and resolving the Rohingya crisis. For instance, in 2020, Malaysia suspended a $1 billion pipeline project with Myanmar over the Rohingya crisis and now working to support the repatriation of Rohingya refugee. Okay, that's all for my point and my opinion.
Okay, my name is Fatin Wardina binti Muhammad Al-Zohar and my mic number is 292669. First of all, I'm sorry, but I don't think I see eye to eye with your explanation just now, Shakina. And I will explain my point here. So first, Malaysia is developing nation with its own set of challenges and priorities. It should focus its limited capacity and resources on addressing its own domestic issues such as poverty, unemployment, education, and healthcare. Allocating resources to the Rohingya refugee crisis, which is ultimately the responsibility of the Myanmar government and the international community, could strain Malaysia's already stretched resource. Moreover, Malaysia has its own population to take care of, and addressing domestic issues should be the primary concern. Okay, the primary responsibility for resolving the Rohingya crisis lies with the, of course, Myanmar government, as they are the ones perpetrating the persecution and displacement. It is crucial to hold the Myanmar government accountable for their actions and urge them to address the root causes of the crisis. Uh, Additionally, the international community as a whole should bear the responsibility of assisting the Rohingya refugees and providing resources for their protection and resettlement. Malaysia, our country, while sympathetic to the situation, cannot shoulder the entire burden when it is ultimately the responsibility of the Myanmar government itself and the international community to address the crisis effectively. So my last point is limited resources and capacity. Malaysia's capacity and resources are already strained in addressing its domestic issues. Taking on the additional responsibility of the Rohingya crisis could lead to the neglect of its own citizen needs like us. Malaysia should prioritize allocating resources to improving its own infrastructure, social services, and economic development to benefit its own population in a long term. While Malaysia can provide some support, the primary responsibility for resolving the Rohingya crisis should rest with the Myanmar government and the international community, who have a greater capacity and resources to address the issue effectively. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Muhammad Aridin bin Rabi Amin and my metric number is 292758. Okay, in my opinion, Malaysia should play a more active role in addressing the Rohingya refugee crisis in Myanmar because Malaysia has a responsibility to safeguard and help vulnerable communities such as Rohingya refugees because of its position as a neighboring country and as member of the international community. Malaysia can show its dedication to human rights and help the Rohingya by taking a more active role in their plight. Other than that, Malaysia's diplomatic prestige and influence in regional and international arena can be improved by its participation in ending the Rohingya problem. Malaysia may lead diplomatic initiatives, engage with other nations, and seek multilateral solutions to the issue's core cause if it takes up the Rohingya cause. And lastly, Malaysia has the potential to serve as a role model for neighboring countries in the region, inspiring them to actively participate in addressing the crisis at hand. The promotion, consensus and cooperation among ASEAN countries and other relevant stakeholders can facilitate the development of collective approach to effective addressing the humanitarian requirement of the Rohingya population. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, but um, I'm still not agree with Ina's and Harid's point, and I also go with Fatin. Like Fatin said just now, Malaysia should prioritize its domestic issues. Yes, correct. Okay. Other than that, Malaysia has a humanitarian obligation. While Malaysia does have its domestic issues to address, it also has a humanitarian obligation to assist those in need. the Rohingya crisis represents a severe violation of human rights, and turning a blind eye to their suffering contradicts the principles of compassion and solidarity. Malaysia has a history of providing refuge to displaced communities in the past, showcasing its capacity to address humanitarian crises. By extending support to the Rohingya refugees, Malaysia can contribute to regional stability and demonstrate its commitment to human rights and advocate for international cooperation to find a lasting solution. Okay, rather than that, regional stability and shared burden. The Rohingya crisis is not just an issue for Myanmar. It has regional implications that can impact stability and security in neighboring countries, including Malaysia. Uh, by prioritizing the Rohingya crisis, Malaysia can contribute to preventing potential spillover effects such as increased refugee flows and regional instability. And then sharing the burden with the international community is also important. But taking proactive measures with Malaysia's capacity can demonstrate leadership and encourage other nations to step up their efforts where it is in Malaysia's interest to address the crisis to maintain regional stability and protect its own security. And then I will say that assisting the Rohingya refugees does come with cost, but it can also bring potential economic benefits to Malaysia. A refugee can contribute to the labor market, fill skill gaps, and stimulate economic growth. By providing support and integrating the Rohingya into workforce, Malaysia can harness their talents and potential, like benefiting its own economy in the long run. Furthermore, addressing the crisis demonstrates Malaysia's commitment to humanitarian values and can enhance its international standing, attracting investments and fostering diplomatic relations. The purpose of here we can explore different perspectives and encourage critical thinking, where Rohingya refugees can be harm, maybe can be a good. So both have pros and cons. That's all from me.
Okay. I think after listening to Farah and Fatin opinions, I'm also agree about that. Even though Malaysia had a gift favor, Myanmar uh, Myanmar just give support and advice to Malaysia just give sorry. Okay, Malaysia just give support and advice to Myanmar government to take more responsibility toward their citizen humanity. And the limit Malaysia should to limit resource and capacity to prioritize in allocating resource and taking responsibility about Malaysian citizen more than the Rohingya crisis. Okay, so I think I'm agree with against to Myanmar issues. What about you, Haris? Did you with me?
Okay. I also, with the point that given by Farah, I also agree that Malaysia do not have to give more help to Myanmar because of Malaysia itself have its very own problem, such domestic problems. So Malaysia should not give more attention to this Rohingya problem because, as I said before, Malaysia has its own problem and it take Malaysia government to take more bit more attention to settle the all the domestic problem. Okay, I also agree with the Farah point. Thank you.
So I think I can conclude that each of us agree that the argument Malaysia should prioritize its own domestic issues over addressing the Rohingya refugee crisis holds weight. Malaysia, like any nation, has limited resources and capacity to address multiple challenges simultaneously. Allocating resources to domestic issues such as poverty, unemployment, and healthcare is crucial for the well being of its own population. Furthermore, the primary responsibility for resolving the Rohingya crisis lies with the Myanmar government, who should be held accountable for the persecution and displacement.
Yes. As I told earlier, the conclusion we can conclude that in the international community as a whole should share the burden and provide support to address the crisis effectively. While Malaysia can offer some assistance within its capacity, it is not solely responsible for resolving the crisis. Like prioritizing its domestic issues and advocating for the involvement of the Myanmar government and the international community represents a part of the practical approach that balances humanitarian concerns with national interest. So I think here is the end of our discussion. Um, so thank you everyone for the contribution.
Okay, welcome.